Hello, Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will understand about the compensatory mechanism of hyperglycemia due to the type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. But we will concern with the type 2 diabetes mellitus because it is insulin independent, while the type 1 diabetes mellitus is the insulin dependent. So let's understand. Here is the person whenever glucose containing diet will lead to trigger the pancreas containing beta cell, will lead to stimulation to produce insulin. Anyhow, let's understand about the pancreas. This pancreas contain a lot of cells. Is the islet of Langerhans is the endocrine cells. This islet of Langerhans cell contain alpha, beta, delta and epsilon. Epsilon is responsible for the production of ghrelin while the glucagon is produced from the alpha and insulin produced from the beta and the somatostatin, the growth hormone, from the delta. In this way, the fat state will stimulate the insulin while the fasted state will stimulate the glucagon for the catabolism, while the anabolism through insulin and the fat state and fasted state will trigger the ghrelin for appetite. Fasted state basically trigger the somatostatin, the growth hormone. Let's understand about due to the eating will produce insulin in the blood circulatory system, and in this way whenever the glucose will rise is known as the hyperglycemia. The hyperglycemia requires the downstream of the glucose in the bloodstream, which that is the insulin receptor will bind with the insulin, will create the GLUT4 channel. In this way, the glucose will move into the cell. And in this, the GLUT4 channel is responsible for the inhibition of the hyperglycemia and insulin also. For normal person, magnesium also play help to the production of more ATP and glycogenesis can be possible. This is the normal metabolism of the glucose rather than the hyperglycemia. Type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes is a different. Like the type 1 diabetes is autoimmune disorder due to the autoantibodies generate to collapse the beta cell of pancreas. Will not produce the insulin. In this way, the insulin will drastically decrease again and again, will lead to hyperglycemia chronically. This is the glucose, basically the insulin dependent. In this way, the insulin can be injected to cure this. But for type 2 diabetes, the insulin resistance, the 40 to 50 years older person for, it will lead to not bind with the insulin receptor, and in this way, the glucose will increase. The rise of the glucose is known as hyperglycemia. The rise of the glucose is very bad because it will bind with the protein to form a glycoprotein and the dysfunction of the protein, and in this way the aging can accelerate. Anyhow, let's understand about the compensatory mechanism and how it can uh, change the physiology which that will lead to cause many disease. Like the absolute insulin deficiency due to the type 2 diabetes mellitus, type 1 diabetes mellitus, will lead to a lipolysis and the lipases enzyme increase. In this way, the adipose tissue will degrade to produce free fatty acid into the blood circulatory system, and the low density lipoprotein will increase and go into the liver. This free fatty acid will trigger the ketogenesis and increase the ketogenesis in liver. The ketogenesis will produce ketones like the alpha ketoglutarate. We will discuss, but first we will understand about the triacylglycerol also produce, which that will lead to hyperlipidemia. This is the low density lipoprotein will increase. In this way, it will lead to cause atherosclerosis due to the diabetes. Anyhow, the hyperlipidemia means the high lipid content rather than the protein, the conjugation, and the low density lipoprotein will increase, and in this way the cholesterol will increase. While the liver produce the due to the high number of free fatty acid go into the liver and glucose is not using, so the alternate path will switch on. like alpha ketoglutarate, beta hydroxybutyrate, acetone, ketone, and keto acid will produce. This all content will lead to ketones will lead to alkali reserve decrease, and in this way the alkali reserve decrease will lead to less alkaline and the ketoacidosis will increase. In this way the pH will be decreased, will lead to more acidic, cause many complications like heart failure, arrhythmias, seizures, cancer, confusion, and the rapid breath, pulmonary disorder, metabolic acidosis, and shock, as well as death. Let's understand about the hyperglycemia, when glucose will be rise. While that was the absolute insulin deficiency, but now we will understand about the glucose rise, but the insulin will not. Insulin, even insulin resistance, are other problem. In this way, the type 2 diabetes mellitus we will concern in this manner. Glucose uptake or utilization will decrease because the insulin resistance will lead to hyperglycemia. This hyperglycemia go into the urinary system, the glucose-urea will occur, the osmotic diuresis, the continuously polydipsia and polyuria will occur. In this way, the loss of water and the electrolytes will more dehydration, and this more dehydration will lead to impaired renal function. The dehydration will also lead to hyperosmolarity. In this way, the glucose will rise, but the water will be decreased and other electrolytes also increase with the ratio of water. In this way, there is a lot of complication can be occur like sympathetic nervous system activation, high blood pressure due to the more glucose. The osmolar hyperglycemic state is HHS is rise, and in this the death and coma can occur. Let's understand about the counter-regulatory hormones increase when counter-regulatory hormones increase due to already the a diabetic person will lead to proteases increase into the blood circulatory system and other cells inside the intracellular and the extracellular. But important is that the intracellular. When the intracellular proteases will increase due to the feedback of the diabetes, in this the protein synthesis will be decreased while the proteolysis increase. In this way the muscle breakdown, bones and tissue, collagen and other things like hairs. In this way, the gluconeogenesis will occur and rise the glucose due to the gluconeogenesis in the liver, as well as liver also produce the glucose from the glycogenolysis, the breakdown of the glycogen. All these aspects will lead to hyperglycemia, again glucose rise. This glucose rise will lead to glycoseuria, the osmotic diuresis to same mechanism will lead to cause many complications. Let's understand about the relative insulin deficiency. Sometime increase, sometime decrease. The relative. In this way, the absent or minimal ketogenesis can be occur, sometime not, but sometime can be. In this way, the glucose can be rise or glucose can be down, regulate. The hyper or hypoglycemia can occur. In this way, the ketones will rise. The basically it can be monitored through insulin injection, metformin, exercise, fasting, and dieting. The other like metformin and other drugs can be controlled. But exemplifying, I am exemplifying with the metformin. Fasting will trigger the mTORC inhibition while the activated mitogen protein kinase activate will lead to proteogenesis and ATP will increase. In this way, the normal mechanism can occur. But this video was about the compensatory mechanism of hyperglycemia, the type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. So, in this way, a normal function will occur of the compensatory mechanism of hyperglycemia. Thanks for watching. If you like my video, please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Bye. See you in the next video. For this one, bye.